Welcome to CommsVest. This session is called UC Success Wheel, everything you need to consider when embedding teams into your organization, and will be presented by Jamie Cole. Over to you, Jamie.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to the UC Success Wheel and everything you need to consider when embedding teams. I'll get started. So just to give you a bit of context, so who Exactive are, so we're a Microsoft voice specialist. I've been in this space since sort of 2008, 2009 when it was OCS R2, and have been transitioning organizations from legacy PBXs to Microsoft's latest and greatest in that time, and that's all we do. We're very specialist, yeah, I'm going to be talking to you about our framework for helping customers embed teams into their organization successfully and providing a world-class service. So just to set the scene, a bit of context. So we really like to look at this as a digital transformation, and that means that it is more than just technology driven. So pretty damning statistic that we start with here is just to say that less than 30% of digital transformation projects are successful. So this is really poignant, and we want to make sure that all of our clients have a successful experience with us, and this is actually the way we do it. Research suggests that 80% of the benefits of this technology actually comes from people changing the way they behave and adopting the technology rather than just implementing the technology itself. And Exactive provides services to help customers with that journey, really. So consultancy services, managed services, and adoption to enable a successful digital transformation. So, and this just reinforces that point. So Teams is more than a technical migration, and this is the message that Microsoft are giving out as well. So people don't magically change is the slide here, but I'm a psychology graduate, so I know how difficult it is to get people to change their behavior, and resistance is normal. So you need to make sure you've got a plan in place for that. And as we said before, the people contribution to these projects is huge. So really important to have a plan for it. Again, shadow IT is out there, and people are using their own technology in order to communicate and collaborate. And you really want to avoid that to make sure that everything's secure and people are adopting the corporate technology. So having a framework in place to enable that, again, is really important. Obviously, there's lots of different types of people in the organization. Some will love trying new tech, some that will hate it, and everyone in between. So you need to make sure that you've got a robust plan in place for all of those different types of users, and anticipate that and make sure that you are thinking about all the different types of users as well. And then, of course, technical and user readiness go hand in hand. So we'll talk a little bit about that further down the line. But this is just to set the scene for you, really. So again, best practice is to start with a proven framework. And what do we mean by that? So, of course, it's super important to make sure that you're going through all the right steps every time. And we as a partner go through the right steps every single time we do a project with a customer to give the best chance of success. And this kind of just outlines what that looks like. Of course, engaging the relevant people at that in the organization is really important to get the right sponsorship and the right project team in place. Is a really good starting point. The project definition is really important as well. Making sure that everybody is on the same page and knows what their part to play in this is, and how the technology aligns to the business strategy. Already touched on kind of technical readiness and user readiness, but they go hand in hand, but you need to make sure that they are working together in order to make sure that this is successful. Of course, we all know that a deployment and implementation strategy is really key to making sure that this technology is embedded properly and the solution actually works for the users as well. And then, of course, this all will help drive that value and operational excellence. So how do Exactive do it? So what we've done is we've taken this framework approach and turned it into what we call the UC success wheel. So this is it's a website now that you can register it for and log into, but it's basically something that helps us to increase the chances of success for our customers, and it gives people accessing the site lots of different resources to help ask themselves some difficult questions. First of all, in terms of have you made sure that you've thought about everything that you need to think about. It also is full of different exercises and resources that add value to the process. So you can, for example, measure your success and track the success of the project. And of course, this helps us to increase the chances of success. It makes our projects scalable and repeatable, and it improves the quality of service for our customers too. So why did we actually create the wheel, as we call it? So typically, in our experience, customers are really good at asking themselves about the technical changes and, you know, what is it that we need to do to prepare ourselves for that technical change. But often things come up like the first 3 bullet points, and customers are saying things like, the business doesn't seem to understand why we need it, or new technologies don't go down well here is a classic phrase that we hear from customers all the time. So we wanted to address that and make sure that our customers are going through a step-by-step process to make sure that they have thought about all the things that they actually need to do when starting this journey, really, and going through the journey. You know, customers typically are good at asking themselves, okay, are our systems capable of running this? You know, what architecture changes do we need? Or is our support desk able to support this? You know, do we have the capability in-house to help this or not? Those things that we see customers are really good at asking themselves, but it's the more people side contribution to this change and the success of the project that are sometimes forgotten about a little bit. So I'm just going to take you through the different sections of the wheel now. You can obviously see that it's graphic, and what we believe is that if you go through each section and ask yourselves all the relevant questions and you go through that process, then the customer success is at the heart of that and in the middle there. So let me talk you through the different sections. So culture and vision is the first place that we'd expect customers to start. So of course, it's really important that the leaders of the business and they're chosen to, you know, roll out Microsoft Teams. Okay, well, what is it that Teams is going to give you, and what is that technology going to do for the business? And making sure that that vision is there, and understanding the cultural changes that need to take place in order to make this a success. So this actually relates to you know, the business, the messaging as well that goes into the communications plans later down the line. So, you know, for example, if you're moving from a legacy PBX to Microsoft Teams, and you're doing that because you want to enable flexible remote working, the business needs to say to themselves, okay, well, our vision is flexible and remote working, staff being able to work from wherever they want, and you know, we recognize that this culture change needs to happen, and that will feed the communications plans. So as you can see, there's a number of questions in each section that we ask the customers to score themselves on, and that will help us understand where the customer is. It will score them at the end as well. I'll show you that a little bit later down the line. We will we'll help them get there and make sure they've ticked off all those activities, and help them understand what they can do to actually improve their chances of success. So one of the first exercises that we would ask a customer to do in this case is a business priorities exercise, and we call this a pre-engagement questionnaire. But we believe there are, and in our experience, there are 5 main areas which are Microsoft technology and UC particularly helps to address. And we basically ask customers to score themselves on a scale of 1 to 5, whether that's causing them an issue or not, and certain statements. And then this will help us benchmark where you are at the moment. And then it also helps us focus our time. So in terms of business priorities, you've then got an idea of, okay, well, for example, communications and collaboration, in fact, scalability, particularly in this example, would be the lowest score. So that's causing a lot of problems. That's something that we want to address by implementing UC, and we can focus our time and energy there to make sure that actually happens throughout this project. And this is quite nice because it means that we can benchmark you just before the project. We can ask the same set of questions later on and track whether or not rolling out Microsoft Teams has actually been successful. It has helped address the business priorities and helped with the business strategy as well. So that's the first section, the first kind of exercise. So organizational readiness is the second one, and again, this is all around. This is another one that's more focused around the people side of the change, and this is making sure that are you ready as an organization to do this. So what impact does this actually have in terms of rolling out Microsoft Teams? What does that have on the impact? Does that have on the company, organization, the staff? Are things like job roles going to change because of this? Often they might. Do managers need help in terms of you've now got staff working from home? Do they need help in terms of training to manage remote staff? If you're looking to update your and roll out flexible remote working by using technology, do you even have an up-to-date flexible working policy, for example? So these kind of questions really help you to understand the kind of softer side and the things that you may not think about outside of the technology change, which will actually put you in a really good place to make sure that it is successful later down the line. Otherwise, you might be firefighting when you first get those questions in from employees who will inevitably have those questions for you. So assess, this is the first of the technical elements, but again, for example, we ask a question around your network connectivity. Is that going to be able to stand up to a cloud solution? Making sure that you've thought about everything from a technical perspective to enable this technology to be successful. So what are the architecture changes going to be? Do you need to make any changes to the network? Do you need new devices? Things like that. These are all important questions to ask yourself, and like I say, customers are typically pretty good at asking them. But again, we would ask those questions and score you to see where you are, and can we help improve that, so we get to the point where actually you're really, really likely to succeed. And again, another resource which is in the UC success wheel on the site is a bandwidth calculator, for example. So again, just a value add there. So next section is design and deployment, and what we're asking here is, have you got a good design and deployment plan? Have you got a design in place and a deployment plan that will make sure that all of the technology changes that you're putting in place are going to be the right ones for later down the line? So, for example, this one is capability and experience. Some customers try to do this themselves, but struggle, and then are firefighting later down the line. So, thinking about that up front is pretty important to make sure that this is a success later down the line. So the fifth section is user adoption, and I'm actually a trained change management practitioner. So using the ProSci methodology, which is Microsoft's strategic change management partner. And so if you don't know about ProSci, there's something called ADCAR model, which is the individual model for change, and that covers a whole load of different things, but a number of them we are again challenging you to think about, making sure that you've asked yourselves these questions. So do you have the right kind of sponsorship in place for this project? And often these things are where projects fall down. So the number one reason for a project failure, according to ProSci and their research, is that is a lack of visible and active sponsorship. So with teams, often pretty much every user is going to be changing. They have to embrace this new technology. Therefore you've got to have a pretty high level of sponsorship within the organization, and somebody who's influential in order to spread that message of why we're changing, what's so important about this change, what happens if we don't change, and all these questions. And our services will help you think about this. Do you have a robust adoption plan in place? If you're putting X amount of pounds towards the technology change and implementing that, what is the expected return on investment, and how much of that is linked to the actual adoption of the technology as well? So this one is really key. We believe this is really, really important to make sure that Teams is really embedded successfully. One of another value add here is our training and adoption portal that you can register for, and all of our customers get access to if they sign up to one of our managed services. So again, just another thing to consider when you're going through this. Final section is aftercare, and how mission critical is the system for you. So you've embraced Teams, you've rolled it out, everybody's using it now, and you're potentially using it as your phone system as well. If that goes down, what's the impact of that? And again, we score you on a number of different questions to make sure that we can then recommend the relevant service or the relevant actions for yourselves to make sure that you are getting the support you need, and you've considered everything for this to be a success. Because what you don't want is later down the line, you think it's all gone swimmingly and well, and then the first problem happens, and all of a sudden it's a lot of downtime, and the business can't operate properly, which is really what you want to avoid. So at the end of all these questions and these different sections that I've just taken you through, there's a dashboard, and you can score. So obviously you score yourself as you go through, and this will give you your likelihood of success, and that's in the dashboard page here. And what this helps us to do is really focus our time and energy in the right places to make sure that you then can go and do different actions. So for example, if you're weak in culture and vision, okay, we'll then go and look at those different sections and then recommend an activity or a service that will help you increase that chances of success for this project, and making sure that it is going to be successful. So that's really helpful for kind of giving you a baseline score and helping you understand what comes next in terms of activities and actions. And this framework has led us to some really world-class service scores, which we're really proud of. So that top right, you can see that word cloud is actually live feedback from our customers on our service desk tickets. As you can see, the one which is most relevant for us in this scenario is the project satisfaction. So we score really highly there, which we love to shout about. And then of course our net promoter score is really, really high as well. So like I say, all of these things and what I've just taken you through really helps us to make sure that this is a successful project. You've got Microsoft Teams, it's aligning to your business strategy, it's making sure that you've thought about the technology and also the people side of change and what you can do there. So that is a whistle-stop tour of the success wheel and our framework to help our customers be successful and make sure that you're rolling out Teams in a way that will be successful. You've got a really good, robust plan in place. I would really recommend that everybody signs up to it and registers there. So you've got the link there if you would like to go and have a look at that. And that's, I think, everything from me.
Thank you, Jamie. That was a great session. I've got a quick question. So
sure.
Obviously we've got how long did it take you to develop the success wheel, and how many of you do you use it with every customer, or is it something that you use selectively?
Yeah, so this is something that we in terms of how long it took to develop. So this is a framework that we've kind of developed for a long time, and actually Microsoft had something called the Skype operations framework a few years ago that we kind of took the best bits from and added our own experience into and kind of developed into it. We wanted to make this a digital experience for our customers and somewhere that they could go to add value to their project. So yeah, probably a number of years really, but it's kind of been a website for the last couple, and it continually evolves. So we're looking to add things in there more and more as we learn from different projects as well, which is helpful. We use, in terms of do we use it for every customer? Some will register for it, some won't. But what I'd say is all those steps that we go through is consistent across every customer. So regardless of whether they are going through those questions or not, we are asking those questions throughout. As soon as a customer engages us as Exactive, from the start, we are engaging the customer on that journey and taking them through each section to make sure that they've thought about everything, and they've got a really good plan in place and to be successful.
Do most of your customers come in as kind of initially voice opportunities, and how do you find how do you find kind of moving that into, certainly your first session in the UC Successful around kind of culture and vision? How do you transition what can be, I guess, quite a transactional, price focused commodity, if you like? I know it's not a commodity, but you know what I mean. Some users, some organizations will see voice as, I just want to pay the least for it.
Sure.
And how do you move them into a wider conversation around kind of culture and vision around Teams and modern workplace?
So what we've always found is that if you're comparing Microsoft voice versus another provider, then typically it's not going to be, financially it's not going to be cheaper. It's not going to be as cost effective. So we then help them to understand how does it align to those business priorities, and that broadens the conversation. So even just engaging on that first exercise, which we call the pre-engagement questionnaire. It's a pretty crude title, but really it helps us then go, okay, well, this element of Teams aligns to that, this element of Teams aligns to that, and it really helps to broaden the conversation. So it can be tricky at times, and it like I say, you need the right project stakeholders who need to be speaking to the right people at the right times, if you see what I mean, because it does have a big impact across different departments and different people. So, but what our belief is that technology is there to enable business outcomes more than just for it to be an upgrade of the technology just for the sake of it, kind of thing. So we need to make sure that we're delivering results. That's our strap line, our mission statement, if you like. So delivering results by transforming the way people work. So that really helps us to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're really interesting, aren't they? A lot of these opportunities around things that start as voice, and traditionally, I don't know if you've seen this, but certainly I've seen it in some of the stuff that I've done, is that soft phones have typically been quite difficult to drive user adoption towards. People that generally don't like them. They like the handset on the desk. But I think as a result of Teams bringing in both voice, chat, obviously all the UC stuff, the collaboration, people actually think that when you finally deliver dial plan into Teams, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, whereas they would have absolutely hated a soft phone. So I think it's part of that wider conversation, isn't it, around, I think a lot of the individual employees have that kind of culture and vision almost ahead of IT leadership, potentially.
Yeah, potentially, especially the like I said, the lots of different user types in there. Some are going to be dying for the new technology, others aren't. What we tend to find is that it helps to articulate that kind of what's in it for me message to the users, and that's part of our adoption process, really. So if you log into our training portal, it's you'll see some different persona types, and that message is there for them. So yeah, you're right. Some users and people are going to be really kind of dying for this, and they see it as just why don't have that yet kind of thing when it's not rolled out. And when they do get it, they're going to love it. Whereas other people have been working in the same way for a long time, and maybe they're used to doing it, and it's still a little bit alien to them. So helping them on that journey is really important.
Yeah, and I guess part of the situation we're in with COVID and coronavirus and all of that has forced a huge amount of change in a lot of people, and that can make people feel fairly uncomfortable. But I think as long as you've like you suggested, they're having a process around kind of right from culture and vision all the way through to kind of aftercare, means that hopefully you can offer those customers the best support even when they're feeling slightly uncomfortable because of a massive change to their working environment.
Definitely. It's really helpful to make sure that you've actually you've thought about everything. I know I keep saying it like that, but they're even the smallest little thing that you haven't thought about can be a negative towards the end result. So yes, it's super important to think about everything, and like I say, the people side of change and is such a significant factor in this. You need to make sure that they're kind of your VIPs almost, really, to make sure that you actually see that return from a business perspective and a higher level perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the technology should serve the people, really.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you, Jamie. I think it's a really useful session. So
Thank you very much.
I'll probably leave it there. If you'd like to continue to have a chat with Jamie, then he'll be available in the breakout session straight after this. So that's goteams.fans/BRK302. So I've posted that in the Q&A. So yeah, feel free to go there and have a bit more of a chat with Jamie. So all that leaves me to do is say thanks very much for a great session. Really enjoyed it. Hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.